Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves an album by an act named Carl Anderson titled Chronophobia. And if we switch over to here, I will be reviewing each of the tracks on this album. All 14 of them. I'm going to do like 7 tracks today and then 7 tracks tomorrow, just so I keep my energy levels up. You know, I don't want to lose focus halfway. This album is free. This album is dedicated to those who keep music alive, so lots of goodwill here. I have reviewed Hellbilly Heaven as well as Missouri Breaks from Carl Anderson before, so I look forward to hearing more of their work. I've also got all songs by Carl Anderson, produced by Carl Anderson and Marvin Menz, mixed mastered by Marvin Menz at Thai Studios London, guitar, bass, piano and strings Carl Anderson, England, drums Bernardo Iacono, Argentina, Hammond organ Ruslan Gatash, Ukraine, violin Anna Mozolevich, Ukraine, piano track number 7 Nehemias Teixeira with Brazil, newsreader track 9 Nick Heaven in England, and finally Human Truncheon Stuart Hoyle. I'm just reading those out now in case I forget to mention those people during those tracks, just so that I've given notice of it, but of course I will obviously try my best. And just the album art up here. Chronophobia being a fear of time, or the extreme fear of time, or the passage of time. So we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start to finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go. Walking Death 1 and 2. What do we have? It's just, you know, it's kind of great to have the sound of the engines here, that Foley coming into it.
The important thing is to remember the tank's limitations. Memorize its weak spots. Know the weapons you have to use and how to use them. And above all, remember your mission as a tank hunter. Whether you hunt from a destroyer or on foot, seek, strike, destroy.
Fantastic tone to those guitars. Really smooth coming into it from the vocal part. Solid groove with those cymbals and those different sort of tom and snare parts. I don't know if they're working with polyrhythms or a polymeter here. Oh no, they're not. They've got 5/4 time signature. That was kind of tripped me up a little bit.
Tanks look tough, and they are. But there's no tank that can't be knocked for a loop by a tank hunter if he has guts and knows how to do the
I
job.
love the distortion on that
battle,
bass
the
guitar
tank
in the
doesn't
center,
have
man.
things all its own
Love a
way.
bit of grip to it.
It gets kicked around by the terrain. It's slowed down by gullies and trees. It has to fight its way through swamps and thickets. To smash tanks on foot, you've got to know your weapons and how to use them.
And so is that a guitar effect? That because if it is, that's kind of dope. I like the way it's cutting in and out. Constant new textures to keep the listener entertained and to keep the track moving forward.
These are anti-tank mines.
Reiterating that
They'll
chord
blow the
progression.
track off any tank that hits them. This rocket grenade is walking death. And every tanker has a healthy respect for one of them. Smoke grenade, especially handy in an ambush. With it you can blind a tank, and then put in the knockout blow.
It's filthy. The intensity of that with Walking Death 1 and 2. Because tanks were that, man. Tanks are absolutely Walking Death. This is distinctly heavier. Distinctly heavier than what we had previously, I think. I kind of like the extra intensity that the grit on those guitars, the blast beats on the drums. Change your pace, change your tempo. Kind of reminds me of 80s old school thrash a little bit, you know? Psychedelic kind of a wild bit from the Beatles. Great substitution for a lead voice in here. Don't need vocals in an instrumental like this.
Those tanks look kind of tough, don't they? I guess you think you wouldn't have much of a chance up against those babies. Well, you're wrong, see? Now get me straight. They're tough, all right. But don't get the idea you can't handle those blitz buggies just because they're big and they make a lot of noise. Will you guys?
Don't know why I've never just made this page bigger. I didn't realize that Bandcamp actually restructured itself correctly when you zoomed in, so I'm just going to keep the page like
Got the
that.
edge on if you know how to play your cards. Now this is about the way the job lines up. You knock out as many tanks as you can, and at the same time protect yourself so you can mow down that enemy. Tanks got weak points like anything else. The track is one of them. A mine, or a shell, or a lucky hit with a grenade.
Sensational groove on those drums. I love the finesse of those drums. Those the dynamic range to it, the care taken.
Good for a $10,000 check to the folks back home. Sure, they still got firepower left, but they can't move. And believe you me, it's no fun sitting in one of those hot boxes. Give them hell.
Give them hell. Now, getting talked to by the commander, I suppose, teaching you how to destroy a tank. And with the wow, that extra solo section there. Oh, it's wonderful. This is really intriguing music. Instantly, this feels like Carl Anderson's strongest album yet, you know?
When you step from the gridiron to no man's land, the rule book is buried and forgotten. Here there are no penalties except the one for losing. And it's not measured in yards, it's measured in life and death. War is the law of the jungle. Kill or be killed. There are no half measures, no alibi runs. You've got to twist your instincts inside out to play this game, because it's played to win anyway.
Wonderful call and response with those unison bend parts from the guitarist to what the vocalist is saying. What the sort of the voiceover person is saying. It's a wonderful sense of unison between the various elements. It sounds like it's part of the same track, you know?
Goal is destruction, pure and simple. Your mind must be tuned to a new pitch, to go after your enemy all out. No holds barred, to hurt, to cripple, to kill. This is war.
War sounds pretty terrible, doesn't it? I know that's an understatement, but now what human beings will do to each other. Great job letting it phase out. Walking Death 1 and 2. First section talking about how tanks work and how to sort of cripple them. The secondary, you know, not hesitating when you get the tank stuck. Looking at the positives of taking down a tank and knowing that you just need to mow down any enemy that come your way. Walking Death. It's almost as if the people hunting the tanks are the Walking Death, you know. Fantastic track though, really great introduction there. It's always a ballsy move to have someone start with a 5-minute 51 track at the start of their album, but I feel as though, especially with the previous albums I've heard from Carl Anderson, is thoroughly justified. I'm really impressed with it. We've got Infinity Gale next. Track number 2.
We copy you down, Eagle. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Hey, space.
Tranquility, we copy you on the ground.
Ah, great use of synthesizers in this part as well. Makes sense with the moon landing theme. Chord no groove on that as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 with those layers on top. Actually catchy as heck, man. It's actually really dope.
Sunday, July 20th, 1969. Around the world, nearly 1 billion people watched this moment on television as the first man from Earth prepared to set foot upon the moon.
It's pretty wild that they managed to get a recording of that, eh?
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out.
The tonal diversity, the stylistic freedom that Carl Anderson has shown by the first track into this.
Of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
It's wonderful. Oh, a major shift? Hope for the future and optimism? Oh, tension. Oh, he's resorting back to the minor, but tempered. Yep. They caught an okay groove, juxtaposed by the intensity of some of these fill sections. Yeah, no, this is a drummer percussionist who really knows what they're doing.
Not as new worlds to be conquered, but as a new adventure to be shared.
Since the earliest time, man has imagined this moment. The moment when his fellow man would make the first journey to the moon. Now the time had come. In the 6th decade of the 20th century, the ancient dream was to become a reality.
10, 9,
Oh.
ignition sequence start.
Oh, we're going back into the distorted guitars?
4, 3, 2,
Sensational.
0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Hey, let it build, baby. Oh, wonderful. What a slow dance. What a journey this has been. It sounds like a rocket ship's taking off. Wonderfully, incredibly vivid. Dude, I'm blown away by that. It was stunning. That was an incredibly stunning track. This honestly is such impressive music. It sounds like a rocket ship taking off. How they managed to get that to sound like that with the use of the synths as well as the guitars, bass, and drums and everything is just remarkable. It's fantastic storytelling, and you don't need a singer to sort of speak it. You just need other vocal parts, like hearing, I think this was the president at that time talking about the space program and everything like that. And the mastering is meticulous. It's fantastic. You know, I'm really impressed so far. We got the badge, track number 3. Sub-bass sequencer with some ping-pongy delayed reverb synths going around the sides of the stereo field.
This city is not asleep, not totally. Its little toe has an idea of its own and will not be scratched. This is a city of itches, little white marks on the ankles of its good intentions. Mustn't let the darkness fool your sense of direction. The deals are down, never doubt. Sweet secrets roll upon the tongues of unordinary hustlers, and to them, this, right now, is the necessary time. City, beware. You have ghosts.
16-note groove there with some wah pedal guitars there. All you needed was a synth intro, man. You've established that tonal consistency there with the second track, as well as the guitars, the drums, the bass, and everything like that in the first one.
In 6 months, officers gathered together to pay tribute to a fellow officer cut down on the line of duty. Officers from all over the state, all over the country, are here. I'm sure many of them wondering, am I next?
I wonder what comment this specific track is trying to make. Or whether it's just recounting a position here. I wonder why there's the badge too.
The death rate is rising, and statistics offer a grim warning. There is no safe time. The cold fact is this. Over the past decade, in some years, most officers have died on Saturday nights or on Sunday morning. But in other years, most deaths have been Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Monday, or Friday, and at all hours of the day. Are rural areas safer? No. Deaths are almost evenly balanced. Ghetto, suburbs, countryside.
So is this the discussion on the increase in violence, or is it a discussion on the propaganda saying that things are scary and that officers need for more protection and stuff like that? You know, because obviously it's a little bit of a controversial topic, right? There's a conversation to be had as long as people can remain calm about it. There's obviously not a fairly sort of positive motif. There's a bit of sadness to it. A little bit of shame there.
Who kills policemen? Is there a stereotype? Can you pick out the cop killer? Again, the answer is no. Old
That's
men, young
good.
boys, housewives
good.
and hookers, drunk drivers, bank robbers, shoplifters, car thieves, bad check artists, moonshiners, bar fighters.
I totally thought they were going to try and put a stereotype forward as a cop killer, and I was like, wow, that's a strong...
burglars, vandals, and hitchhikers.
Because I know that this is a Carl Anderson, he's just putting
By
forward
persons trying to commit
things that have been
suicide.
recorded in news stories and stuff. Use of the organ here is welcome. Who is the organ?
The police understand is violence.
A rustling Katash.
Violence inevitably leads to counter-violence. It offers
And that little flush, wow, you know, it's just so much fun. There's so much charisma to this performance. Everyone's in this mix sounds like they know their parts and they're so comfortable with them that, yeah.
pretext to agents of government to repress.
Is this like the 70s or 80s or something like that?
The Constitution guarantees the American people the right of free speech, free press, free assembly, the right to dissent, but not violence.
So let's talk about police control and the rights of people relative to the rights of police and stuff. Phenomenal voicing there. It does sound like people are crying out, or that is another voice, even though the voiceover person doesn't want to announce that, you know? How we're gonna finish it though? And it just finishes with that ping pong delay there. Fantastic 70s rock tone to those. We are really going from like World War II with the tanks to like 1969 with Infinity Gale. And then you've got like the Badge, which I believe again is the 70s potentially. The Badge 2 though. Great use of phaser. Fantastic use of double tracking. So I don't know if it's one track stereo pan or if it's... No, it's double track, so they're just that good.
The most frequently asked question about police is,
Why would anybody want to become a policeman?
critics of the police say,
They become cops because they enjoy pushing people around.
They just want the guaranteed authority of the uniform.
They're sadists.
This is the other perspective. I kind of like I like how it's approaching from two different perspectives. I like that it shows the police and their side of things and how they're kind of like their paranoia about who could be killed next. But then this is like though, oh, but why were people being murdered in the first place? You know.
we asked cadets at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Academy why they wanted to become law enforcement officers.
Well, in the department to do an interesting job. I didn't want to go to work at 8 and be bored until 5. And this is the type of job where things are always changing from minute to minute.
That's true, they are changeable. I wouldn't know what it's like to be a cop, so you know.
Instead of talking about all the wrong in the world today, I've decided to get involved. I feel that there are a lot of citizens today that are turning their back and saying, well, I don't want to get involved. I personally feel I do want to get involved.
Oh, so it's about like addressing the people who aren't getting involved. And they're trying to make a change through becoming a cop.
I wanted an interesting job where I wasn't doing the same type of work every day. And I feel in law enforcement, there are many interesting jobs for women.
It's nice to have a female component, you know, like a woman's perspective on it.
I'd like to try to stop.
Again, that subtle, you know, that subtle little extra bit of brightness there to show we're making our way through this track, you know.
Man's inhumanity to man.
In police work, a lot of times you see
be the worst in people. The problem for myself and other law enforcement officers is to realize that all people are not like
Simple bass line.
Since becoming a police officer,
Easy to follow chord
I found out that
progression.
my civilian friends no longer trust me. So now I've resorted to having nothing but policemen as friends.
You know, every day I risk my life to fight crime. But the judges and the courts just don't seem to back you up.
Oh, damn, that's a spicy take on it, eh? What would they be doing if they were backing him up? This is what I adore about this music from Carl Anderson, especially with this album Chronophobia so far, but no less with the other previous albums actually, is that you really do find yourself being sort of shown confrontational things, and you've really got to try and allow yourself, your perspective, to be challenged by it. It's incredibly affecting music. It's not like the music is sleeping on the story. There's a lot going on there instrumentally, but I kind of adore the fact that it's different than your traditional song where they're singing. It's kind of amazing that they've made music without needing to sing, where it's just as engaging and interesting.
The problem today is there are too many people who don't respect authority. Therefore, they don't respect the police uniform or the man who wears it.
It's an interesting take on it, eh? Because shouldn't people want to respect authority, you know what I mean? If they don't want to, then there's an inherent issue with that. And that fade out again. That's the end of a new chapter. I like how with the fade outs where you can hear other sort of sub layers kind of etch themselves out of the ether. So that was a really interesting take on the police and all that kind of stuff. You know, that has been a topic over the last few years, and it's kind of interesting to note that has not been a thing that's just over the 2000s. It's also the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. But we've got Black Lung Blues. I love the space, the silence there. Funky as hell, hammer on pull off, legato style on the guitar part with some mutes there.
In the United States alone last year, over 60 million smokers puffed. Now get this, 400 billion cigarettes. And how much did these little paper incinerators cost them? $4.5 billion. That doesn't include pipes, cigars, lighters, matches, ashtrays, cigarette holders, or what have you. And it doesn't include one other little item. Fire. Insurance men will tell you that 1 out of every 3 fires in the United States is a result of smoking.
Smoking is 1 in 3. Is 1 out of 3 causes. That's wild, man. I would never have known that. That's insane, dude.
Pretty expensive habit.
It's so bohemian, this riff, eh? Oh, synthesizers coming in here? I just don't know how they're going to fit more into it, because it seems like there's already so much going on. I would assume this is like a pause to sort of think about how completely insane that fact is, you know? I mean, $6.something billion is quite a lot of money, especially back then, you know?
You can make up your mind you're not going to be as good at sports. Your wind is shorter, you tire easily, your heart works harder, and your coordination isn't as good.
That making it sound terrible.
The old cliche about a cigarette helping you enjoy food is just so much rot, too. If you smoke, you won't have as keen an appetite. Your dinner won't taste or smell as good, and you aren't going to digest it as well.
This is the biggest PSA for like not smoking. The best one, dude, because I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't know how I managed to avoid that, but I don't. And man, I am so glad I don't smoke, because none of this, please. it still has that 70s aesthetic to some of these lead parts. So I assume that the smoking issues were something that was occurring over the 70s and 80s.
It was like, just smoke steadily for a while. You'll find out. You'll roll and toss in bed with the best of them. And even if you can sleep, you won't sleep as well.
That sounds awful, man. It's a very kind of
cigarette can raise the heartbeat from 10 to
a bittersweet
60 beats a
thing.
minute. It raises the blood pressure 40 or 50 points. When an expectant mother smokes, it even raises the pulse of her unborn baby.
What I like about this is that they're making the person who's talking about the stuff pause so they can have more of the music come in, but I don't think it's for the benefit of hearing more music. It's more to like allow the weight, the gravity of what's being discussed here sink in. Because when you think about the fact that if you smoke, it raises the pulse of an unborn baby, nah, that ain't it, man. That ain't it, dude. That's too much. I haven't really spoken about much of the music here, you know, like working with pentatonic scales. Got the cough going around the sides. Got the harmonized guitars. It's like a funeral march, dude. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Moby Dick by Led Zeppelin. Oh, great choice to have a solo here after the Black Lung Blues, dude. It does have those rock blues aesthetics there, those influences. There's nice use of semitones in that rhythm section with the unison bends and the shred going on the lead. I like this break from the da-da-da-da, the consistency of the 8s or 16s to the bum 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 bum. You know, switching to like dotted 8s or something like that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. No, it's dotted 16ths, is it?
The increase in deaths from lung cancer almost exactly parallels the growth of smoking in the last 20 years. The villain, without much doubt, is our lady nicotine. Nicotine, nicotine, nicotine.
Yeah, I can tell we're not feeling a clear passion or love for nicotine, eh? It's kind of wild that we're allowed to smoke cigarettes, you know? Like, you don't see people allowed to do cocaine or, you know, meth legally. But you look at the damage that nicotine does, you know? I know that they're probably not directly comparable, but nicotine's still pretty terrible. That shred solo at the end could have probably gone on a bit longer. I was kind of sad that cut out so quickly with the volume at the end, but wow, I'm really thinking about some stuff really deeply. And I'm going for a drive after I do the first half. To go do some business planning stuff, but like, yeah, it's gonna be on my mind for the rest of the day. So thank you, Carl, for that. Suppose that's the point, though, right? It's supposed to get you thinking. Phenomenal drum solo in the middle, by the way. I didn't point it out, but I just love the phrasing, and I know the guy is good enough that he's not overplaying, even though that's really technically impressive. I know he's not overplaying. He's trying to keep a 16th note groove there. Maybe work some occasional 30 seconds, but the accent and ghost note flow work is just tremendous. You know, there's a great restraint even when he's got his time to shine, should I say. But we got Chronophobia, track number 6. Makes sense he'd have like a kind of a sad, somber sounding, some delayed clean riff here. With some synths in the background. That is really beautiful album art, actually.
What determines the direction of time?
It's a beautiful album art, though, like, for real. I adore it. The handiwork there on the drawing there is incredibly impressive.
Exactly is the present. Is now the same for everyone?
Oh, that's trippy. Is now the same for everyone, and the way the voice floats around your headphones is just wild. Like, I'd recommend, if you're listening to this review, put on a pair of headphones so that you can really get a feel of the stereo panning and the various studio effects that are going on there. There's a tremendous amount of work put into that part of things, you know?
In the laboratory, we can get atomic particles to go nearly at the speed of light. And so far, all the effects predicted by Einstein show up. For example, particles which are unstable and disintegrate do last longer when they're moving than when they're standing still. Einstein's theory of relativity has radically transformed man's picture of the universe. It has upset our traditional ideas about time and space.
Good. Change is okay if it means that we end up better.
Upset them once again because we're still learning.
Are we using a vocoder or some sort of effect like that for this? Because that's kind of dope if that's the case. I love the lead voices in here. They're so soft and sincere, and the thought that's gone into the specific tone or effects we use is clearly there. So incredibly atmospheric because of that. Reiteration of a motif, a melodic idea. A little bit of extra vibrato there occasionally, but honestly, this is damn near flawless. In fact, it's interesting they were using such heavy delay when we're talking about time, because it's the time capacity of the delay itself.
How will the Earth look in the eons to come? If the Earth has a past of 4.5 billion years, what is its future? We can only guess, but the vast time of the past is small compared to the far greater expanse of time that is the future.
Oh no, that's too much, dude. That is too much for me. To think that the 65 whatever million years we've had is pales in comparison to like the literal endless. That's mind-blowing, dude. I like that we still aren't as far advanced as a species to be able to understand everything. Still allows a bit of wonder, you know? That was quite a short exit to that. I'm not sure if I was happy with how that ended. I feel like it could have ended at the end of the bar there. And then like Titan come in, you know what I mean? But everything else in that track was absolutely damn near flawless. And it's kind of nice not to have the drums in there. Like the guys, who was it? What's his name? Bernardo was a sensational drummer there, you know, like... Oh, right. Well, I remember. We've got piano track 7, Nemius Teixeira. It's a hard word, man. Apologies. Nemius Teixeira. Okay. Tight. Okay, track 7. Oh, full sounding. Fizzy guitar tone. On top of that coal mine and bass there. Bombastic rock and roll, my dude. Let it continue with these synths, my man. Some reverse takes here. Is that reverse delay? Oh my goodness, we're being spoiled with the effects, man. On top of the bass and drum backing. Like, I don't mind if you repeat a riff you've had earlier if you had something else on top. Or if there's like a point or a perceivable sort of transition to a newer section. You can make an 8-minute track work if you are smart about it. Okay, so section B, I suppose. What's going on the right side, though? Synth. I totally called that, man. I mean, I didn't call it, but I knew there was going to be something there, you know? Or is that a lead guitar that's heavily modulated? Oh, so this is the violin, right? This is Anna Mozolevich. It's been fantastic to see a whole bunch of Ukrainian musicians in some of these projects I've been reviewing recently. It's so dope, man. A lot of talented musicians from that part of the world, you know? Well, Eurotron synth in the center? Unusual. Interesting to put that alongside the really pretty violin melodies. Oh, harmonies as well, dude. We are spoiled today. Like, anyone who can play the violin, I have a lot of respect for, because it sure is, heck, is not an easy instrument to learn, you know? Piano time! Holy crap, they're phenomenal, dude. Did they write this? Did they make this up? I'm glad they simplified the motif, though. You know, it's great to know they can play, but at the same time, there's got to retain a sense of journey and musicality to it, and especially bringing this along to the pads that we've got here as well as a smart move. Or the violins. Oh, bass solo now. Oh, my dude. Working on that higher end of the fretboard. Nice. I like the fact that the piano and the violin have come together, these classical elements here. It's sensational. This is how you do a longer form track. You really need to establish an ABC kind of structure to it. It's very difficult to keep one theme going for 8 minutes. I would love to know who was responsible for writing each of these individual parts, because like, oh man, it's just so technically complex and so melodically and harmonically fascinating, you know, rhythmically as well. You got sort of crisscrossing over each other. Great way to start a week, you know. Great way to start a week. Part 3. He's playing with using his fingers. I can hear that he's using his fingers there. There's less of the kind of click you get with a pick. I'm like, I know the standard is to play with his fingers when you play with the bass, but still. Some bassists don't. They use a guitar pick, and that's fine. It's just you can tell, you know? Oh. Just moving away from the beauty a little bit, the grandiosity of it. However, switch it back to the theme we had earlier. Okay, I see you. I see you. Yep, I'm nodding my head. I ain't got nothing else to say. You can hear the quality of this. Again, that is the right point to instantiate more simply, to make it nice and misty. The idea of a titan, a massive, like, sort of figure, either as a monster or just a being itself. It sounds huge. A little bit surrealist. You got that hair, man. You got that hair. Let it rise. Big finish. Big finish, buddy. Ah, let the drums. Yep, good job. Oh, that's it. Excellent. Oh, baby, that's the finish we want. Wow, what a phenomenal first half of the EP. I'm legitimately feeling quite emotional about this. I feel so proud of Carl Anderson and everyone involved, like Marvin Menz, Bernardo, Ruslan, Anna, Nemias, and we still got, of course, Nick and Stuart to check out. But look, just before I go on my break, I just want to say this is looking very positive at this point in time. I trust Carl at this point to put forward music that is incredibly thought-provoking, easy to listen to in the sense that even if it's difficult, you still know you're in safe hands. So even if it gets a little bit too confronting, it's still you're gonna get through it, and it's gonna end in a way that betters you as a person after hearing it. I'm really impressed. Well done to Carl on this. I can't wait to listen to the rest tomorrow. See you then. And we're back. Day 2 of recording, Chronophobia by Carl Anderson, the latest album from this wonderful musician, and everyone else has been collaborating with him on this effort. It's been a great album so far, finished on Titan, which was a phenomenal track. I really enjoyed the range there, tonally, musically, and everything else on this album so far. It's been pretty dope. Just putting the album up here, just so you can see it nice and big. But we're going to continue today with Hypocrisy through to History, as we continue our journey, and we're going to hear what we think. So, number 8, Hypocrisy. Are those plucks? Or is there like a synth sequencer or something like that?
Are you prepared? I know you prepared your house. I know you prepared your income. I know you prepared your marriage, your children. You planned out your whole life, but you've made no plans whatsoever for where you're headed when you leave this world. Hell is a place. It is a place that existed before you were ever born. It is there. It's going to be there, and there's no...
There's an increase in the tension, the drama, the theatrics of the situation with these strings and the load. Oh, and the piano as well. Cool.
If the churches today have stopped preaching on hell, if the preachers don't preach on hell, if the seminaries and Bible colleges don't teach the young men about hell, if they extricate it from the Bible, it makes no difference whatsoever. It is still a place that you must deal with one day.
Oh, tremendous.
Somebody, my friend, died this morning and they went to hell. Somebody took their last breath this day, July the 20th, 2008. They drew their last breath and awakened in hell. What a shock it must have been.
Fantastic build there. That tension, that slow crescendo of the just the fervor that was going on, the fear stoking that was going on by the preacher, whoever was talking there, you know. This kind of viscerally strange synth lead in the middle, kind of glitchy sounding as if it's kind of, that's hypocrisy itself. The further context we're getting later on with these distorted guitars and drums. Kind of nice to just have the synth, the bass, and the strings here as well. We had the huge lead solos coming in, that massive tone, that grit there, and just leaving it kind of airy and floaty at this point is a nice tonal contrast. With another bass solo, to be honest.
A North Texas megachurch recently released details of an investigation to church members that revealed a former youth pastor sexually abused 14 girls at 2 different churches.
Oh.
Our God is a consuming fire. There's holiness about God.
Today, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints responded, saying any abuse is inexcusable and that the article seriously mischaracterized the nature and purpose of the helpline.
If you could go into the presence of God unsaved, He would literally annihilate you. You'd rather be in hell in a heartbeat than to come before a holy God. God.
Okay, so basically they're sort of insinuating here that the exaggeration, the hyperbolic nature that they, you know, describe the situation with hell and the face of God and everything like that. There's this hypocrisy when the church says that the news is, exaggerating the stories that they're saying.
The article states that the bishop sought advice from the church's helpline about Arizona's law on reporting abuse and its priest penitent privilege exception. That exception says that clergy do not have to report abuse that is received during a private confession if the clergy determines that withholding is reasonable and necessary under church doctrine.
It's terrible. I mean, say what you will, but this music knows how to get a hell of a reaction.
He lifted up his eyes. It's almost as if it says he awakened in a place that was absolutely beyond his wildest imagination. He never for one time thought that such a place like that could exist. He lifted up his eyes in hell. He became aware of his presence. He knew where he was. And from that
sick triplet fills there, 16th triplets on the drums. Do you hear how the vocals are going from the left to right of the stereo field? I mean, you probably have to, again, if you're not wearing headphones during this review, please put on some headphones so you can hear the wonderful stuff going on with like the automation, the panning of the vocal parts, the voiceovers of the priests or the preachers and the newscasters and everything like that. It's like the thoughts spinning around your head.
There's no Bible in hell. There's no blood in hell. There's no altars in hell. There's no forgiveness in hell. Whatever goes to hell stays in hell.
Oh, that was a hella creepy way to finish it with his voice kind of becoming more and more demonic. Whatever goes to hell stays in hell. Phenomenal. What an entrance. Because this is the LP2. The second side to this, and it's mind-blowing just how eloquently it illustrates the point it wants to portray, whilst also making it so musically intriguing. There were less lead elements in this, but I think that in a shorter form track like this, it made a lot of sense. It'll be interesting to see what we have with like Emmett Myers, which is track number 9, with newsreader number 9, track 9, Nick Heaven.
On the crime front, the police of 9 western states from Washington in the north to Colorado and Utah in the east have been alerted to keep a continuous search for the Kansas desperado Emmett Myers. His latest victim, William Johnson, a salesman from Portland, Oregon, was found late yesterday in Imperial County, California.
Oh, it's a hella funky bass line on top of that drum groove, dude. And there's a really fantastic clarity to that tone as well. Like earlier on, we've had distortion and grit to it, but we needed this to be a little bit more jazzy, so a little bit more sort of, how do I describe it? I suppose the mistiness of the guitar lines makes for a need to have a more punchy bass guitar. Rolling on that root note. Lots of guitars circle around. Great shift in drum grooves there, putting those snares in there. Great work. Great change of pace there. Nice panning of rhythm guitar lines on either side.
And keep driving. Sure, I'm Emmett Myers. Do what I tell you. And don't make no fast moves, or a lot of dead heroes back there get nervous. From now on, while you're driving, keep both hands high on that wheel.
When he's talking about driving, and then the drum beat is just pushing us forward that pace there. It's almost like you're in the car with him. Incredibly engaging. Nice use of blues and pentatonic scales there as well. Also that really funky kind of string style bass line.
You're the smart guy. Spread the map out on the hood. Get your hands up on the car. Look for a town called Santa Rosalia. How far is it? About 500 miles. Is it on the Gulf of California? Yeah. Say anything in there about a ferry across the Gulf? Friday. Not bad. We can make that easy. After that, I won't be needing you guys anymore.
And the ferocity of the distorted bass alongside those more intense distorted guitars. Just the dynamic range of this recording is spectacular. I like the fact that we had that amount of headroom available, partially due to the less intense layers texturally in the arrangement, but just also because we just didn't have everything the same loudness all the time. And this is something that I really value, is there being dynamic range to recordings. It makes them more lifelike and believable. And for this to come on after he was laughing, saying we won't need them anymore, is spectacular.
Reporting your news file. At the top of the news tonight is the report that the hitchhike murderer, Emmett Myers, is still at large. Yesterday, the devil thumbed another ride, and William Johnson of Portland asked him to hop in. Now, William Johnson is dead. In an all-out effort to apprehend Myers, the police have set up roadblocks on all major highways in the western states, and all border stations are being closely watched. If you are in possession of any information regarding the whereabouts of this individual, please communicate with your nearest office of police or office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
You guys.
It's interesting, you know, like we've had like lots of stuff discussed in this album so far, like the police and smoking and fear of time and space travel and tanks. And we've got more tank stuff here, Walking Dead 3 and 4 respectively. But having like a hitchhiker murderer just to me seems a little bit out of place. I don't think it shouldn't be here. It's just, are these just tales that have kind of stuck inside the mind of this musician or piqued their interest specifically over the course of the 20th century? Although to be fair, Hypocrisy did say 2008, so...
You're up to your necks in IOUs. You suckers. When I was born, they took one look at this puss of mine and told me to get lost. Got what I wanted my own way. You get to know how, and a few bucks in your pocket, they can buy anything and anybody. Especially if you got them at the point of a gun.
That really scares him. You guys are gonna die, that's all. Just a question of when. Santa Rosalia, that's the end of the line. If the cops find out we're together, or if you try to cross me out.
Yeah, excellent. And like, we could have gone much harder with those tom fills there, but we knew to sort of keep them a bit softer to allow more of an impact for the guitars and everything else coming in this section. That's one of the best bass tones I've heard in my life. It's just so filthy and extremely visceral and mirrors the aggression incredibly well. The harmonies aren't particularly intense, like there's nothing particularly
Get a move on.
aggrandizing about them, but
Record? Drive like I tell you.
What did I tell you? Shut up! Get that spare tire out and go to work. Move! Cut it out. If you're gonna kill us, do it and get it over with. You keep working. Keep your trap shut no matter what. I'll be watching.
they're taking back control. Good. Good, good, good. Good, good, good.
These suckers.
Freeze! Police! Hands in the air.
Nervous? Relax.
Step away from the vehicle.
Fun's over.
It does make me happy that they managed to sort of fight back and kind of this. I suppose that's why the story's in here, you know. Again, I love the fact that it was told through like recordings. Like it was like you were listening to a movie, you know. And the car sounds, you know, the sound of the car crashing and the police cops and everything like that. You know, it paints a really vivid picture. And it does make me wonder how we're going to end it, right?
And this is the 6 o'clock news. Tonight, police have confirmed hitchhiker murderer Emmett Myers has been killed in a shootout with US police. None of Myers' captives or police officers were hurt in the shootout, which took place at 4 p.m. local time, close to the Mexican border.
Damn, he almost got there, but the people were like, nah, sorry, can't let you get away with this. That's bravery, man. The story of Emmett Myers. Just a phenomenal asshole. Yeah, I didn't know about Emmett Myers. And to like hear the angle where he was born and he just didn't have anything and he just learned how to manipulate and scare people to get what he wanted. Obviously, it doesn't justify his actions, you know. But it helps to explain that there's more than just someone who's just a really terrible person for no reason, you know. But yeah, it's interesting how great voiceover work, great news reading from Nick Heaven. That was dope. I like that at the end. But yeah, I'm glad I learned that. Thank you to Carl Anderson for teaching me more about that. There was something in here that I was not familiar with. Walking Death 3. Oh, we're going to the 80s now. These reverse snares with some interesting guitar tones there. Really trippy effect there. Is that a Strymon pedal or something like that? One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 7, 8. 7, 4. Oh, clever work. Potentially going back to 4. Oh, are we going back to 4? That was a smooth sort of movement between those time signatures. Yeah, I'm impressed by that. That takes finesse.
When your life and the lives of those with you depend on stealth and silence, you do what has to be done. If your instinct says give him a decent chance, remember he wouldn't give you one. The rules of a lifetime may whisper you can't get a man when his back's turned. But you're deaf to the rules because in war, there are no rules.
There are no rules apart from war crimes, I suppose. But I'm wondering when the war crime thing came in. Like, you know, like how there's like internationally recognized sort of guidelines on that. Like when were those made? Is it, or are they just talking about the sense that in war you've just got to do whatever you can to survive?
Make a mistake and you're a dead mistake. A good soldier is a live soldier, and this is a good way to stay alive.
Incredibly somber line though. The guitars are quite bright. The recording sounds like it's alive. Despite the almost melancholy of it.
You have two purposes. One is to kill, and the other is to avoid being killed. Remember this, no army ever won a battle without getting its hands dirty and bloody. In a rough and tumble, the password is kill. You forget the concept of clean-cut fighting. There's no such thing as clean-cut war. They asked for it, we can take it and we can dish it out. Everything goes, and there's no referee. And these are the boys we're going up against. A gang of bandits with as much sense of fair play as a scorpion. We'll fight them with their own poison, bludgeons and blackjacks, knives and...
I'm sure that this was... I don't know what war specifically this is talking about here. It makes me wonder... I don't think they would have represented the Nazis as a bunch of bandits. So I'm wondering if this is... Well, I mean, they could have. I'm wondering what war they're talking about here.
Daggers, fists and feet, bullets and bayonets. We'll use the right weapons at the right time.
Oh, never mind. Maybe it is.
Way.
Maybe it's an earlier
above
war.
The belt and below the belt. We didn't ask for this war, but we know how to fight it and win it.
The oscillation there kind of sounds like helicopters flying soldiers over, you know. What an incredibly awful time to be alive that would have been, you know. I'm glad that we live, I mean, like, we are kind of on the cusp of war with how things are going in the world at the moment in certain respects, but still, you know. How terrible, you know, how tragic. It just kind of continues to build in the background there. There's no release. It's just continuous hatred for the other side. The brainwashing, the propaganda saying, hey, you know how to fight this. This isn't a clean-cut battle. Don't hold back. Don't feel any sympathy for them. Just be a killing machine, you know. Just because a good soldier is someone that wins no matter what. It's kind of grotesque, man, but I suppose it's just what they were telling people back then, you know. And to be fair, I suppose there could have also been the potential for the other soldier on the other side being told the exact same thing. So if you were sympathetic towards them, how could you know they were sympathetic towards you? So there was that paranoia there as well. Tannhauser Gate. Oh, I love these synthwave-ish kind of elements here, dude. So much fun. But it does make me wonder what we're going to talk about here, because I don't recognize Tannhauser Gate. Oh man, that is an absolute slapper, dude. Bum, 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 bum. Excellent use of 8ths and 16ths. But that 8th note, quarter note groove. I like how there's a sense of minimalism sometimes with the percussion, even though you know the guy can play chops for days. And see that automation there, the panning there, going over the low side of the stereo field is great. Coming on the right side, maybe? Beautiful harmonies, though, these majors. Are they sevenths? Oh, and slap bass? Oh, dude. What a vibe. Octave runs on the bass. There was some chromatics as well. It's great. Like, the cool thing about this music is that it makes me want to actually research what it is. I'm just curious. I want to know more, you know? Maybe the music makes more sense if you understand what it is. I wasn't expecting this with all the sort of guitar, bass, and drum-centric stuff I've had previously. I've had synth elements here, but for something to be this heavy is kind of dope. I mean, I know I've had synths in previous tracks, don't get me wrong, but like in Hypocrisy with that sort of unusual mid-synth. A warbly chorus. Laden synth there. Kind of sounds like it's underwater, you know what I mean? Kind of a 90s grunge tone to that. I'm gonna have to check what that is actually. I'm super curious. Oh, so like Tannhauser Gate is like a Blade Runner reference, if I understand it correctly. Cool. Makes sense with all the synths and everything like that. Makes a lot of sense actually. I kind of like that there are no voiceovers because you're just kind of expected to just either know or you don't, and then you check and then you know. I'm just surprised how well the acoustic drums work with all these synthy bits. It's great mixing. Like, you have to find a way to give them a sense of that analog sameness. And we managed to do that here. I do think they've probably used like synths, like analog synths and stuff like that. And even if they haven't, who cares, man? As long as the master bus is strong enough, you can usually get away with whatever you want. A lot of music is not, especially nowadays, not afraid of combining older and like newer, more contemporary elements there. And lots of songs, you know, sampling older parts of tracks and then putting them into new ones. Sometimes to effect, and sometimes it's a mess, but we do what we can. But yeah, after that wonderfully synthy little classic there, we got Careless Fred, track number 12. Only 3 more tracks to go. Oh, this is unusual. Is that a guitar or a bass? It was at both with the same effect chain on it. I kind of dig it though, it's kind of dope, right? Oh, hella funky, man. Bring that in with the bass there, guitar, drums. Excellent.
Fred's trouble is he has a dangerous enemy and he doesn't even know it.
What?
Fred's enemy.
Oh no! After Tannhauser Gate, this is quite a surprise.
He is more dangerous than any savage. Fred's enemy is ever present, always waiting for a chance to attack. Fred's enemy is carelessness. Carelessness is Fred's invisible enemy. Carelessness is as bad as a loaded gun. A gun aimed at Fred. A gun aimed at you.
Oh yep, that dynamic range playing it in again. Bring it up. Maybe a little bit of automation there on the master chain with the volume. Really, extravagant vibratos there.
The enemy that makes you run into the street without looking for approaching cars. How can you protect yourself against carelessness? It can't be seen or heard, only thought about. But there is its weakness. Know safety rules and remember to use them. Think about safety. Be alert and wide awake.
I kind of adore the fact that people used to need to be told to be alert and to be awake, you know? Either it's just assumed that people aren't nowadays, or they assume they are. I feel like we need to be reminded, you know? It's actually relatively heavy rhythm guitar part. Yep, easy to follow along, 2 riffs there. And this guy's just sprinting from side to side. Very trippy and unusual. Almost like they're distractions, you know? Prog rock time, man. Incredibly tight double tracking there, to be fair. You know, that's not an easy riff to play. Like, I can imagine how the riff would work. It's not an easy one to play. A little bit of violining on those strings there as well for the guitar.
Remember, street safety is your problem. Protect yourself by knowing good safety rules. Carelessness may make you forget. To defeat this invisible enemy, you must think about safety all the time.
Kind of makes you...
rules is not enough. You must think and practice safety.
I think that, but this is just the thing as old as time, though, isn't it? Learning to be safe.
You and Fred can escape your enemy by being alert and careful at all times. This is good protection. Use it always.
Oh, that was charming. It sounds like it's coming from like an LP or one of those like weird kind of, you know, the little music boxes they had with the big horns on them. Like, I don't know what the machine is called there, but they had like big, like a speaker, but it was like gold and it looked like a flower and something like that. I don't know, man. It kind of reminds me of the sound of one of those. But great track, you know, Walking Death 4 though. The sad strings. The cello and the other elements there. Great vibrato to those parts, actually.
You spend 3 days marching up a road, and the next 3 marching back. Damn foolishness. Stupidity among the higher-ups. Hurry, hurry, hurry. To wait. Well, the enemy isn't over-polite. He isn't always where he's supposed to be. Sometimes he hands you a surprise. The long march up wasn't foolishness, and the long hike back wasn't stupid. Our intelligence showed an armored division that punched a hole in our position and would cut our lifeline of supply unless it was blocked. Would you rather walk? Or would you rather die?
Damn, dude. Would you rather walk or would you rather die? Imagine that unclenching kind of loyalty to damn, dude. As a New Zealander with what happened to World War I. Yeah, no.
Accident, misfortune, the unforeseen, and the unexpected. Get used to something. In war, the abnormal is normal, and uncertainty's the one thing that's certain. War doesn't run on schedule. Remember that when the food isn't there on time. You can't predict the twists and turns of battle. They'll affect you in many ways. They'll affect your food, your weapons, your equipment, your rest, your life.
Yeah, but it's never the people starting the damn wars, the politicians who are having to struggle for food and stuff like that, is it? It's always the soldiers that they send out in the front lines. It's very easy making propaganda videos like that, but you never see the people who are up to the top going out there and struggling. They're back home taking care of the country whilst they sent young men away to win a woman away to die. Walking Death there, the string section there mirrored the mood of it, just the complete defeated nature of it. Realizing that you were just a tool to be used and that you should expect to be mistreated because war is not predictable. That you should expect for things to be bad, or because it's better for things to be bad than for there to be nothing at all. We got history though, track number 14, the last one for today. How are we going to spend our time with this final little bit of history here? One of the longest tracks I've reviewed in a while, to be fair. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Excuse the pun. I mean, it's a fairly simple lead line, just keep me entertained for a minute. Then extra notes added as we go along. I want the bass and drums here, it's a nice bit of development here, but I like how minimalist that approach is as well. We really aren't trying to sort of smother the synth at this point. Strings here, also the synths, the bass, and drums, just a wonderful combination of elements. It's very grandiose and impressive sounding. It's almost like there's a lot of hope in there. Like we're going through different periods of time, you know. Some chromatics interspersed. Like you're going through that time glass in the album art, you know. Yep, that gradual build there. Yep. Bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and boom. Oh, a double build? A faux break build? Okay, I'm not unhappy with that. I mean, at the 3-minute mark, I was expecting the guitars to come in, but I think that would have been a bit premature, you know? And we've got the leads, of course, but then at mid to high range, they don't carry power on the sides, like I was expecting, but that's okay. I don't mind that there's not like little, you know, overdubs or like storytelling bits in here vocally, because I wonder what this would be like if it was able to be performed live. I mean, I would assume it would be tremendous. You need a lot of different people playing different parts, but Sound pretty sick, right? Oh yeah, there's that bass tone we're familiar with. Boom, 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 boom. And the bass doesn't come in, it doesn't, and it overstays welcome. Great, noise gating. Could just pop out like that, you know? The lead guitar is phenomenal. It's really technically proficient. Just how it's going between the stereo field is just huge. Like, it's so disconcerting, but really, you know, creative, which I appreciate. And we're halfway now. I mean, I don't really feel the need to sort of emphasize any other particular elements here because a lot of the instrumental parts are similar. There are textures that come back. I more or less feel like getting lost in it, although I know I do have to point stuff out as we go along. But again, I would happily listen to this music outside of these reviews. Because to me, it's Carl Anderson who's keeping music alive. This is some of the most creative music I've heard in a very long time. Like just the amount of space we have here. Oh, bring back the synth sequence we had before. Okay. The guitar speaks of an optimism for the future, a little bit of pain. Although, never mind, it's not a major key, is it? So maybe it doesn't. Maybe it talks of being careful. And I like how we know at this point even...
No, I'm not the average person.
Oh, at the end?
A scale model space capsule. Sure, I'm Emmett Myers. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous.
Why would anybody want to become a policeman?
This is war.
I noticed they kind of moved mechanical-wise and they was floating off the ground.
When an expectant mother smokes, it even raises the pulse of her unborn baby.
It's all the history coming together, right? All of it just one big melting pot, you know? It's brilliant who we are today. Huge finish. Great work. Giving those cymbals lots of room to breathe. This must have been amazing to record, dude. Oh, it's tremendous. It's so satisfying how it's ended there.
How long has it been since I dreamed I was there in Hillbilly Heaven?
Hey, Hillbilly Heaven!
Well, Rich, how you doing? I said, well, you know, I got something wrong with my liver. I might have hepatitis, but that's the fucking breaks. You know, there was a movie, Missouri Breaks.
And Missouri Breaks. Great job. Nice callback to the previous two albums. Just before you continue into the conclusion, because what an album, right? If you enjoyed Chronophobia, please do listen to Hillbilly Heaven and Missouri Breaks, because they're absolutely worth your time. Absolutely worth your time. This is the conclusion of my review of this album, Chronophobia by Carl Anderson, the third album from Carl that I have had the pleasure to review. Putting up the album art here, but I usually have it on this side anyway, so you'll probably see it on that corner there. What do I think this album was about? I think that it was about a lot of the things that we've sort of been afraid of, or the issues or dramas or sort of things over time that we've paid attention to, like, you know, obviously like dealing with war, but also like space travel, the police, you know, smoking, the Fear of Time itself, Titan, which was just a phenomenally diverse, complex track. I'm not quite sure what that was about specifically a reference to, but obviously hypocrisy, religious institutions, Emmett Myers, the hitchhiker who murdered the people and got eventually stopped, Walking Dead 3 and 4, which is more stuff about war and tanks and everything like that, Tannhauser Gate, which was a reference to, you know, the Blade Runner movie, but also like there was also a poet or something like that was involved in that. Careless Fred, which is about people being careless, and how that carelessness as well as smoking kind of ties in together, you know, people being careless about, you know, like smoking and other things in life, and need to take care of yourself and make sensible decisions. And then finally History, which was like a summation of all those different things, and kind of also had a hark back. It harkens to the previous two albums. This was a phenomenal album. I had a fantastic time with it. I enjoyed each of the subjects that were discussed, and even if I didn't clearly have a representation of what a song was about, I could kind of imagine from what I was listening to. I think that the way, because this was predominantly instrumental aside from voiceovers, the way that we discussed things within this track, they made sense and were appropriate to the title of the song. The music had a great synergy with it. The voiceover was wonderfully mixed and mastered, and it was just great to learn more about these points in time. Like, I didn't know about Emmett Myers or Tannhauser Gate even though they didn't have vocals, but hearing the how do I describe it? I'm kind of hearing the public service announcements about like Black Lung Blues and Careless Fred was great. It was fantastic. And then also, you know, like hearing about the war stuff was terrible, like the way that people got sold that. And then the hypocrisy pointed out, and hypocrisy between what the church was doing versus what the church was saying to the people, and the fear-mongering, especially with the modulation of the preacher or whoever sounding demonic there at the end. I adore it, man. I think this is one of my favorite albums I've ever reviewed. It is such a phenomenal demonstration of everything involved here. And again, shout out to Carl and Marvin and Bernardo and Ruslan and Anna and Nehemias and Nick and Stuart and Human Truncheon Stuart Hoyle, England. I'm not sure what the Human Truncheon is, but maybe Carl can help me out with that. I'm not sure what a Human Truncheon is. I loved how the length of each of these tracks was appropriate to tell the subject matter. There was so much room for the guitars, the bass, the drums, the pianos when they came in, the violins and other string parts, the synth elements as well when they came in. There was so much room for everything to just exist. There was no need to rush through tracks, Some songs, especially History at 10 minutes, had like a synth theme for a minute. But we also had such attention to detail. We had a phenomenal array of different drum grooves and tom fills from the drummer, from, who was it? It was Bernardo. Bernardo is a sensational percussionist, and I hope that Carl works with him on future records, because they had a great chemistry there. The bass parts as well as the guitars and pianos and strings that were done by Carl Anderson fit incredibly well. And don't get me started on all the variety of different guitar motifs that are in there. Those different lead lines that predominantly stuck around the blues and kind of rock aspects with some sort of proggy elements there. We definitely had the pentatonics and blues locked in, but we also stuck with some interesting extensions from time to time, some jazzy elements there. And we also knew how to keep things relatively contemporary to work with a lot of the stuff going on, especially, like with the open chords, the triads, and just, he could shred. You heard points where he was just absolutely stunning on those leads. And the rhythm guitars were so supportive, and the groove was toe tight with the drums, and the bass guitar as well, with a combination of sort of root note bass stuff, occasional sort of slap bass stuff as well. There were some bass solos in there as well. He explored the fretboard so eloquently, and like the piano work, the piano parts, such as not only from Carl but also from the Myers in track 7 with Titan. It was illustrious. I'm so proud of Carl for knowing when to bring someone else in, because Carl can obviously play the piano, but that solo section there, that intro part to Titan where the piano comes in, there's those wonderful ascending and descending sort of melodies and scale runs. They're just absolutely splendid. And it was similar with what happens, we got Anna in, and Anna was tremendous on the violin as well. And it's just, we knew when to get a soloist and a dedicated instrumentalist to really up the game of the track itself. Really, I don't think we had a note out of place there. There was wonderful harmonies and different ideas and lots of different textures to the various synth elements, synth pads, but predominantly sequences or lead elements and stuff like that. We were not afraid of having too much or too little in the mix. We knew when to have the heavier tones, and the bass, it's just the tones of the different instruments as well. Like the bass guitar clean was great, but they had a really fizzy kind of aggressive distortion later on. And I adore that, man. I adore that. I think it was in Careless Fred or something like that, or in Emmett Myers. Like there was one of those tracks there where it was just slamming. It was slamming, and it just was so loud and so in your face, and I adored it. And it was so heavy. And like Walking Death 1 and 2 especially, that's some of the heaviest stuff I've heard from Carl, and he does it very, very well. But we also knew when to just bring things down and just have like a note or two and space there. We knew how to make room for the voiceovers and the arrangement as well. And never felt like we were competing too much for one thing's attention. It was like we had a call and response, a partnership between the voiceovers and the accompaniment that was actually healthy and made sense. I love it. I think there was a phenomenal, I've said phenomenal a lot, an incredible understanding of music theory and composition that has carried throughout the previous two albums, Missouri Breaks and Hillbilly Heaven, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to review it. And I do not, when I say that, I usually, of course I am genuine about it, but this is what I'm especially thankful for, because this is one of the best albums that I've ever reviewed. By far. It really is. Again, it is free, so you can just download it and listen to it if you want to. It's yours. This is the epitome, the core of music, passion for music. If anything, I believe Carl is one of the few musicians I listen to who are genuinely dedicated to keeping music alive. And I adore them for that. They ought to be proud of themselves. Yeah, wonderful decisions made with the arrangement, the recording, and the performance there. I'm sure this would be phenomenal live. It's phenomenal studio. The post-production, recording, mixing, and mastering was just exceptional. To get the old-timey recordings, even with the part where I think there was Nick Heaven or something like that, to get all of those sounding in a way which made sense with tonally, with the guitar, bass, drums, synths, everything else. To get them to slot in there and meld together requires a really intricate, fundamental understanding of recording, mixing, mastering. Marvin Menz did a fantastic job of all of this. And the production by Carl Anderson and Marvin Menz is to die for. I think that the filtering and queuing on all the elements of the arrangement was great. Lots of activity in the stereo field, nice and wide there. Things went backwards and forwards, but also held their position. There was no resonances in the stereo field. It's a professional commercial grade album. I mean, I just don't even know what to say. I don't know how you can improve on something like this. It was nice to have without pumping, but there was an incredible amount of dynamic range to it, And I think this is pretty much there was one track where I thought it ended too short. Maybe there was, or am I tripping? I think there was. It would have been a 10, but there was one point where I figured they could have probably kept going a little bit more with the solo than they did. I remember that in the first half. So if I was going to give it a score, it'd be a 9.5 out of 10. To put it in perspective, down there, nothing has gotten a 10 from me. No, nothing. So 9.5 is basically the highest score I would ever give an album. This is my review of Chronophobia by Carl Anderson. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show some love to the musicians involved to this via their various social medias and their Bandcamp. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.